Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. My questions are, the first set of questions for General McConville have to do with the Chinook Block 2 upgrade, which is part of my community. I am just outside of Philadelphia, and I've asked other senior Army officers and leaders about this decision recently to pull back on the Block 2 upgrade in this coming fiscal year's budget. And I would like to have a three-part question for you today that has to do with the impact on that decision in terms of readiness. So if the Chinooks that are currently in service are not replaced with the Block 2s, as is the proposed solution right now, what is the plan for sustaining them in that fleet into the 2030s and 2040s? So that's my first question. Do you want me to give them one at a time, or would you prefer me to give them all together?
Congressman, whichever way you want. I can
so
go.
maybe it would be best to do it all at one time in case they fold into one another. And so should we expect to see increased funding for the Chinook sustainment in next year's budget and beyond, and reflecting that decision not to pursue the Block 2 procurement strategy? And the third question has to do with sort of supply chain issues. I'm a supply chain person and an entrepreneur myself. And when you make decisions like this decision to no longer fund the Block 2 upgrades, you've made decisions down the chain, the supply chain as well. Do you anticipate that there will be any supply chain implications, small businesses or suppliers going out of business, and what would be the plan if that were the case to make sure that you could sustain the existing fleet?
Yes, Congresswoman, and in fact, we just met with Boeing on that very same issue. I'm very concerned about the organic industrial base, the ability to maintain that capability. What the Army right now is committed to doing is we are buying CH-47 Foxes and Block 2s for our Special Operations Regiment. So that's going to start, they will be converted to Golfs. And the other thing we're working with, and this gets back to my earlier answer about foreign military sales, we are working with our partners. We think the CH-47 Foxtrot is a great aircraft. The Secretary and the Chief had to make some tough decisions as far as modernization. We want to produce the Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft along with the Future Long-Range Assault Aircraft, which Boeing is competing for. And what we want to do is keep the line going for the next couple of years, and then we'll be in a position to make a decision on how we either do we recap Block 1s and Block 2s, do we sustain them, or do we come up with a new way of doing that mission in the future.
And what do you think, if any, the implications of that decision are for downstream suppliers?
Well, I would hope that they look at that's the future. I mean, what we're doing right now is we're kind of in the place of where we were in the 1970s coming out of Vietnam, and we had a thing called the Big Five where we came up with the Abrams tank, the Bradley, the Apache helicopter, the Black Hawk, and the Patriot. We see the same thing right now. So what we're recommending to industry is listen to what we're saying, produce these aircrafts, compete for these new systems that are coming in place. And that's what's going to drive the subs and everything else for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Thank you. I certainly hope so.